Hi guys, today we are going to do something peculiar and interesting, and I'm going to take a look at the grade 1 English test which was posed to the grade 1 students at Orchids, the international school, South City 1, Gurgaon. My daughter Rimjim studies there currently in grade 1 and had taken this test. So let's see how she performed and how the test looks like. So here we are with the test. We see that it's worth 20 marks and the duration is 50 minutes, so nearly an hour. And let's see if this duration is sufficient for the students of grade 1. Now, mind you, when we go through these questions, step into the shoes of a grade 1 student who's around 6 years old. So as you can see, Remjem scored just 14 out of 20, which is uh, 70% marks, so less than distinction. Let's see what she did. So there's a section A out here, and there are 1 mark questions out here. So let's go ahead with the first question. So the first question states, what sound does the word white make? Now that's interesting because the students these days are being taught sounds or phonetics. Uh, Back in my days, there was nothing like that. We used to just learn the spellings and the pronunciations, and that was that. But looks like the children of today are being taught the phonetics. So, for example, there is an E sound out here as an option, and apparently this IE is the I sound. So, what sound does the word white make? So, Y is white, has this I sound in it. So, therefore, A is the correct answer. And Rimjim has chosen the right answer as well. So, she seems to have done well over here. That's cool. Okay, then the next question is the word star has the what sound? And you have the I sound or the A sound or the R sound. So that's also very clear. The word star has the R sound. So uh, the answer is B, and again simple, and Rimjim has got it right. Let's carry on. Okay, so the question number 3 is choose the word with a AI sound, which is an A sound. Uh, okay, and the choices are for the children plane and park. So the A sound is naturally in plane rather than park, which has got an R sound. So again, Resume has got this one right. She has identified that the A sound is a word plane. So I kind of like this because children are being, you know, uh, taught these sounds once again. And I don't recall back in the 1970s and 80s this was being taught this way. So that's probably good. It's asking students to, um, you know, make the sounds in their head and then work it out, which is a different dimension altogether. So that's nice. Okay, next question. Look at the picture, fill in the blank with the correct I word. Okay, so this again is sound which is the I sounding word. So there's a guy who's sleeping out here, and apparently it's night time. And so the question says he sleeps at dash, and so here the students are being given 2 choices, night and NYGHT, which also sounds like night. So here the students are being tested on 2 things simultaneously. One is that they have to identify the IE word. Uh, so both sound like an IE word, but you got to identify the correct spelling as well. So A is right answer clearly, and Rimjim has done very well over here as well. Let's take the next question. Which word makes the OI sound? All right. So again, based on sounds, it's testing based on sounds, and the choices are oak, which doesn't certainly make an OI sound, and then we have the word oyster, and clearly oyster makes an OI sound, and therefore that's the right answer. And Rimjim has indeed given the right answer. So kudos to Rimjim. Well done. Okay, so here's an interesting question. It says, choose the picture which makes an OA sound or an O sound. And the choices are A and B in terms of pictures. So that's interesting. Now the students are being tested to identify the pictures. So that's one dimension of knowledge. They should recognize the pictures themselves, and they should have the proper vocab uh, based on the pictures. So they should know what the picture A is in terms of a word, and likewise B. For example, there's a goat and a dog. So they should know that the picture A is actually a goat and that the picture B is a dog. And then they have to apply the sounds based on that word which they identify on the pictures. So that's quite a lot for children of grade 1, isn't it? They have to identify that it's a goat and a dog, and then remember that, and then apply the real question that what's a sound inside the word goat and dog. And clearly, the O sound, the OA sound, is in the picture corresponding to the option A, which is goat. So Rinjum has got that right as well, and that's fantastic. All right. Next question, which is question number 7. Which one is a long oo sound or a long o sound, which is becoming an oo? So again, the children are being tested on their knowledge of the phonetics, and they're being given two words out here. Oh, and that's a tricky one, isn't it? Because both of these words, GLOOM and CROOK, both have a double O. So the children should recognize the words and know their pronunciations. So for example, the children should know that the first word is called gloom and the second word is called crook, even though it has a double O. And once the children remember these pronunciations, then they have to apply this logic of the question, which has a long O sound. And clearly the word gloom has a long O sound rather than crook, which is a short O sound. And Rinjum has got this one right as well. So nothing gloomy here, very exciting. And remember, I mean, from a grade 1 perspective, these questions are testing, a second order of knowledge, with the children. They have to identify the words or the pictures and then apply the sounds in that with the discovered words. So that's a nice test and rather a tough one, I would say. So far so good. Okay, then the section B starts, and the question number 8 says, fill in the blank with the missing sound. Ah, that's interesting. So here we have a picture, and clearly it's a chain. And here is where Rimjim slipped. She clearly did not know the spelling of the word chain, so she has written chain out here, which is clearly wrong. So, it's a word chain. I'm surprised that Rinjim didn't recognize that it's a chain. Maybe I've never used this word with her, but well, that's where she slipped. But that's all right. I think she at least came to the word chain, which is nothing, but which means that the sound of the word similar to the chain. She is recognizing that it's some kind of a chain, except that she doesn't know that it's a chain and calls it a chain. But she's getting there, so it's all right. So now to question number 9, and there's a picture given out here, and the question says, fill in the blank with the missing sound. Uh, so once again, the children are being asked to recognize this picture. Now, Rinjim goes out on a lot of road trips with me, so she couldn't have missed this one. She surely knows that it's a highway, it's a road, and she's got that absolutely right. She not only knows that this is a road, but clearly knows the spelling as well. And so it was a straightforward question for her where she writes the OA. Now, I think that's interesting. Children are not only being asked to recognize that this is a road, but they should know the proper spelling as well. For example, they cannot write RODE, right? They can possibly write that. Of course, in this case, you have to fill up in the middle, so there's no E out here. But well done. ROAD is road. So let's go to the next one. Find the sound that is common in the following words. And the words are bite, high, and I suppose there's a wrong spelling out here, but it was meant to be tide. And I suppose a tide, spelling of tide is T-I-D-E, isn't it? So it's a typo out here. And so bite, high, tide. So the I sound is the one which is common. And the children are being expected to write the phonetic out here. So they're being expected to write the I over here. Uh, and Ranjan clearly did not understand the question, and she just chose one of the words out here. But she was expected to write the sound itself, which is, I suppose, slash I, and or slash right slash I, or maybe slash double I. I'm not sure myself. What are the rules or the phonetics? But that's what she was expected to write. So she slipped over here and lost the mark over here. Okay. The next question is find the sound that is common in the following words. Now again, clearly Rimjim is not understanding what is the rule of the phonetic itself. For example, AI sound or I sound, and she's not understanding that. She understands words, she can recognize the pictures, but she has not learnt the syntax of mentioning the sound or the phonetic, which is slash AI or slash I or slash IE and so on. So here, for example, the words are toad, bowl, and joke. So it's an O sound. So probably the correct answer should have been slash O slash. But she just randomly chose one of the words out here because she did not understand that she has to mention the sound and not the word. So it's clearly a question of misinterpretation of the question itself. And probably I'll have to tell her what's the meaning of this question. So on to question number 12 now. So the student is being asked to look at this picture and to complete, and they are being asked to complete the word with the correct E sound. So once again, the student is expected to recognize this picture. That's step number one. That itself is challenging. So the student should recognize that it's a piece of meat, and not only should they recognize that it's a piece of meat, but they should know the spelling of the word meat in spite of the hint in the question for the double E sound. So for example, if the student takes an easy way out, they could simply have written MEET out here, meat, which is actually a proper word but not corresponding to the picture, but does have the E sound. But here Imjim was clever. She identified that this is a piece of meat and that the spelling of meat is MEAT while having the phonetic of a double E. So she's got that absolutely brilliantly right. So well done. Let's look at the next word. Look at the picture and write the correct words. And they've been given a choice of the words as well. So this is a tricky one, isn't it? The student has to recognize that this is a cloak. Of course, the hint is inside the two choices given over here. But even so, they must remember the spelling of the word cloak in this context. And, Rinjim has absolutely hit the bullseye and recognized that it's the word cloak with OA inside. So no cloaks and daggers out here, and well done Rimjim. So on to question number 14 now, and question number 14 is asking the student to look at the picture and identify the correct word out of the choices given over here. Now mind you, we are already on question number 14 and I see question number 16 on this page and there are more coming up. And recall it's a 50-minute test. So the students have to be sharp and quick as well, I think. But let's go on to this question first. So this could be a tea or a coffee. So the student might work it out in their heads like that. And then they have to look at the word out here that, hey, it couldn't possibly be tea because the choices are only these two. So there's no tea out here. So then if it's a coffee, then the student has to recognize what's the correct spelling of the word coffee. And the word coffee is, it's not easy, is it, for a grade 1 student? Because as you see over here, COFFY also sounds in the head like the word coffee. And the tricky word, which is actually the correct spelling, is with double F and double E. So here, I'm proud of Rimjim that she identified that it is not tea, because there's no choice for the word tea, and it therefore has to be a coffee. And the correct spelling is with a double F and double E, and she got that right as well. Okay, let's go to the next one. Write the word with the R sound, the AR sound, the R sound, and there's certain choices over here. So now, remember it's a grade 1 student. So they have to go through all these words uh, and make them sound in their head and then match it with the R sound. So uh, the student would be thinking STRAY and they should know it's stray. Then they have to work it out CREAM, which is cream. Likewise, start and bright. And so student has to make a lot of effort in their heads to make these words sound in their heads and then choose right one corresponding to the AR sound, which is really the question. So that's a lot of work for the students uh, who's a 6-year-old. And here clearly the correct answer is start because it has start as an R sound in that. And the words like stray, cream, and bright don't, and therefore Rimjim has chosen the correct answer start out here, which is well done. And you could imagine that the student might take a few minutes to work this out. Um, and the test is just 50 minutes and there's so many questions. So it's challenging. Next question is question number 16. Write a word with a long O sound. Uh, so here there are no choices at all. And this is testing another dimension in the brains of the students. So they've just been given a sound and now they have to just scrouge through all the words that they're aware of and pick one of them corresponding to this sound and then write it over here. So they should understand the sound, they should dig into the vocabulary into their heads, pick a right word which they know, and not only should they know the right word, but they should know the correct spelling as well. And here MGM has chosen the word book, which is absolutely brilliant, which, you know, uh, but this is actually wrong out here because although the word book has two O's in it, but it doesn't actually have the long O sound. So this is a wrong answer. So that's where MGM slipped. She should have possibly chosen words like pool, all right, or maybe a stool, that kind of a thing, which has a long O sound. So that's where she slipped. She chose a word which is optically having two O's in it, but she apparently failed to understand that the sound should be a long one, not the optics of the word. And therefore she chose the wrong answer out here. And book is the wrong answer out here. And the question 17 is asking the student to write a word with a short O sound. So the previous question was a long O sound and this one is a short O sound. And here, for some apparent reason, Rimjim chose the word school, which actually has a long O sound. So this should have been the answer to the previous question. And so once again, you know, I think Rimjim has to understand what's long and what's short, and she probably got confused between the two. And she's given the wrong answer. School should have been the answer for the long O sound, and book should have been the answer for the short O sound. So the book would have been the right answer over here, uh, but she got confused between these two. Maybe she failed to revise the answer paper and she might have got it right. Maybe she went back and forth between these two questions and maybe worked them out, may have worked them out right, but just placed the answers wrongly. Uh, I'll ask her what's a long O sound and what's a short O sound, and I'll throw these words at her and ask her which one of these have a long and a short sound, just to confirm that her conceptual understanding is correct. Because she seems to have the vocabulary, she picked the words with the double O's, but swapped the answers and therefore lost marks over here. Okay, the next question is write a word with the I sound that has the letter Y in it. Now that's a tricky question, isn't it? The student is being asked to identify words with a sound, so they have to dig into their database of the vocabulary and pick a word, and then and that limit that choice to all the words which have a letter Y in it. So I don't know why Rimjin chose the word TIED. What is this word anyway? Even if she meant to choose the word tide, uh, probably she meant to choose the word tide, which has definitely an I sound in it, but the spelling is not TIED anyway, it's TIDE. But even so, she failed to recognize that the question is asking that there has to be a letter Y in it, and surely this word doesn't have the letter Y in it. So it looks like Rinjum is struggling a little bit to, understand the dimensions of the question. Uh, so there's a dimension of the sound, there's a dimension of the letter, and then you have to go into your brain and dig the vocabulary and pick up the word. So probably a correct answer could have been over here, could have been sky, right? SKY, which has a letter Y in it, and it has the phonetics of an I. So sky, right? That should have been the correct answer. So I'll talk to her and maybe I'll work it out together with her so that she understands this concept. That's the more important thing. But again, I think this is quite a challenging question for a grade 1 student, because it's throwing multiple dimensions in the questions itself, and also asking the question, also asking the student to think in their heads about all the words they know. So this question number 19 is showing two pictures out here and asking the students to fill in the blanks to make the OI words, so OI sounding words, and then match the words with the pictures. And there's some hint given for the words themselves. So for example, one of these words could end up with the letter L, and one of the words is beginning with the word T, with the letter T. So that's a challenge, isn't it? The students have to recognize the pictures, think what they could mean in terms of words, and then have to, uh, out of the choice which they have in their heads, they have to map it to the words ending with the letter L or beginning with the letter T, and they should have the OI sound. So, for example, uh, if I look at this picture, this looks like a teddy, and there's a letter beginning with the word T, but I cannot write the word teddy because the OI teddy is E sound, it's not OI sound. So this should probably be a toy. Yes, and Rimjim has correctly identified that it's a toy, except that she's got the spelling wrong. So she just took the phonetic itself and then put it over here, which is wrong. This should have been toy. So TOY, which has the sound of the OI word. So she nearly got it right. And this, for example, could be a jar, but the jar doesn't end with the letter L. So, well, it could be oil. And the gym has got that right, OIL. And then, of course, you do match this with an arrow. This oil should be pointing an arrow out here, and this toy should be pointing an arrow out here. So again, quite a challenging question. The pictures can be identified with different words, but you got to filter your choice and limit it to the hints given out here in the question paper. So she got this one wrong as well a little bit and lost marks over here. Clearly must have been under time pressure by the time she reached the question number 19 and lost marks over here. So totally there are 19 questions, and remember, so nearly 20 questions there for 19 questions, and there are 50 minutes available for the students. So the students are getting nearly 2.5 minutes for each question, and so they have to be really fast because they have to do a lot of thinking, as I told you, in all these questions. And they're grade 1 students, 6 years old, so naturally they'll take time for all these questions. So here we are with the grade 1 question paper of the English language, clearly quite challenging and interesting question paper. I think I would have got much lesser marks than 14 out here when I was in grade 1 if this question paper was thrown at me. So I think overall, Ranjum has done well, and most of the class was struggling with this. So it's a tough question paper, clearly. But good job, Orchids, the international school, of throwing this kind of a challenge to the students, because clearly it helps them evolve their brains in this area of sounds and words and spellings.